Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Dunham. This is a research project conducted at California State University, Monterey Bay, under the mentorship of Dr. Alana Unfried, and it's on the exploratory factor analysis of the student survey of motivational attitudes towards statistics. So attitudes are known important factors in an educational setting, and attitudes can be used to predict a variety of different outcomes, such as conceptual understanding, which creates a need to have valid attitudinal data when doing research. Currently in statistics, there's a need for a more validated instrument based in educational theory to measure students' attitudes towards statistics, as current instruments have various flaws or areas of needing improvement. The pilot S-SOMAS, or Student Survey of Motivational Attitudes Towards Statistics, aims to address this gap and was developed under expectancy value theory. So our main research question is, do the items on the pilot S-SOMAS align with the theoretical framework of expectancy value theory? So from our framework, we can see that the highlighted boxes in blue would represent our factors that we're interested in measuring, or in which case we'll move forward calling them constructs. And since this is our theoretical framework, we'll call them theoretical constructs. And you can imagine that each of these constructs has items that pertain to the particular construct. And in theory, collecting information about all these various constructs will give us overall students' attitudes towards statistics. So for our methodology, we split the survey up into two parts due to its length, where there were 6 constructs on each part. There was one overlapping construct, though, as this was particularly interested in being having information obtained on it. We have 92 total items with 49 on one and 50 on the other, remembering that there's one overlapping construct, so there's some items that are overlapping between the two. And it was collected on a 7-point Likert scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And below you can see just a quick example of the various theoretical constructs and items that line within them. So data was collected from undergraduates across the United States and the survey was administered at 6 different universities. So on the right, we can see the raw sample sizes for Group 1 and Group 2. Group 1 having 1,194 responses, Group 2 having 1,187 responses, giving us a total of 2,381 responses, with a response rate of 61.02%. So for our data analysis, we performed exploratory factor analysis, which determines item loadings and the amount of factors we should extract from our data. So in this case, factors would be empirical factors, or the amount of factors believed to exist within the data. And item loadings are just the correlational value between that item and their given factor. So in theory, we would have 6 factors for each group, and the same exact items would be aligning on each factor. But obviously this doesn't happen in practice, and this is why we're doing the exploratory factor analysis part to determine kind of which items need adjustments, and are the items that we've developed even aligning well with this theory at all. So for our results, we can see on the left side of these two graphs are our theoretical constructs, and the right side are our empirical factors. So many of our theoretical constructs loaded large chunks of themselves onto an empirical factor that was relatively similar to the theoretical construct, such as interest and enjoyment in Group 1 held up entirely onto a new interest and enjoyment empirical factor. We can see in Group 2 something like expectancy value, the theoretical construct, loaded heavily most of its items onto just one empirical factor, which is expectancy / self-efficacy. So we can see that many of these many of these theoretical constructs are holding up fairly well, and almost all of our items loaded onto some empirical factor in some way. So the overall findings of this is that many of our theoretical constructs held up fairly well, and many of our empirical factors are looking to have similar parallels to what we would expect from our theoretical constructs. So this is some good evidence that the survey is holding up fairly well, and there's only some minor adjustments that need to be done, which is actually expected, and we've compensated for it by having so many items in our survey. So now we just need to reduce items, which would need to be done anyways, and hopefully when we do another factor analysis, we'll get to determine a better idea of what our results are looking at and if our survey is truly getting closer to that valid state and falling under that expectancy value theory. And finally, for future work, we're going to reevaluate the items and determine which items specifically need to be removed, which edits may be necessary to better keep that item in the factor for future analysis. And we may just leave some items alone. Probably most of these items will just be left alone, as many of them loaded strongly. And then we'll collect additional data from undergraduates to determine if our updated items and constructs are consistent. And we'll collect data from a more representative sample in order to gain more understanding of statistics attitudes and perform different various analyses and introductory to statistics courses to determine the best course of action for the course. And that's it for the study. Thank you so much for watching.